We started with absolutely nothing. I left everything I was doing and lived in my car for a bit until I was able to manage it.
From living in his car to leading billion-dollar brands, co-founder of John Paul Mitchell Systems and Patrón Tequila, philanthropist, and now author, and so many other things that you're going to learn about this gentleman. I am joined right now by John Paul DeJoria. Oh my gosh.
It's a pleasure, Pat, being here on your show. This is real special.
Oh, this is very special for me. And I'm just going to get this off the top. I've used your products for decades, and so is my hairstylist. So we're very familiar with your work. But I want people to know your history, your life story, and it is really amazing. You're a self-made inspiration with an incredible portfolio with businesses in various industries, but you came from humble beginnings. In fact, I was surprised to learn this. You were born in Echo Park, so right here.
Yeah, exactly.
You're a California native.
That's correct.
Raised by a single mother.
Yeah.
Tell us about your childhood, John Paul.
You betcha. We had a deadbeat dad, unfortunately, but fortunately
not
we had,
the only one.
Yeah, okay. I had a great mother. I mean, our mom was so positive. We grew up in Echo Park. We didn't even have a television set because I don't know if they were invented then. You know, I was born in 1944, so. But she was the great. She never ever let us know we didn't have. It was always, look how good things are. A most amazing mother. And then when I was about 5 years old, she got very, very ill. So my brother and I, for 4.5 years, were in a foster home. But we were the lucky kids. About every week or every other week, we got to come home to see Mom. Where some of the other kids with us, nobody ever saw them. But my mom was so cool that as we got a little bit older, she said, you know, if there's some boys, I remember Henry Camacho was one of them, bring them home with us for when we have Thanksgiving. Just bring the boy, because no one ever visits them. And she was that kind of a mom. And I got to tell you, Pat, she was so cool. You know, we had nothing, right? But we didn't know it. I'll never forget some of the things she did, Pat, was like she would get a little 2.5-ounce piece of filet mignon steak. It was little. I just remember that as a kid. So maybe it was 2.5 ounces. Cook it, split it in 3, and my brother and I would have a little meal with Mom. She'd say, boys, that is something called filet mignon. We're all going to have one bite of it. This is how the people that have a lot of money eat. So we're just like they are. We eat the same food. And then in those days, caviar wasn't expensive. Okay, she'd bring home a little bit of caviar and say, boys, this is called caviar. And that's what people have a lot of money. And that's just how we were brought up. And
she wanted you to have the so-called best of everything in terms of food.
Exactly. And we never knew. She would always say, boys, you could do anything you want to do. We're all going to work at this together. And there's a couple of real magical hours I'd like to share with you and your audience, if I could.
Of course.
2 things Mama did that changed our lives. I was 6 years old at the time in LA. And that was 1950, by the way. We had trolley cars in Los Angeles. And we would go to downtown LA at Christmas just to see all the window decorations. It was different than it is today, right? Puppets in every window, even a little trolley car outside the little kids could ride in. Mom gave my brother Bob and I a dime and said, boys, hold this together, your little fingers, walk over and put it in that red bucket to the guy ringing the bell. And we did. No, we did. So Salvation Army, right. So he came back and said, Mom, why do we do that? In my day, that was 2 big soda pops and 3 candy bars. She said, boys, that's the Salvation Army. And there are people that have no place to go, no place to eat, and they take care of it. We don't have a lot, but we could at least give them something. Always remember, boys, as long as you live, there's always somebody that needs it more than you do. And we never forgot it. And when I had no money, even in my biker days, okay, I would go to Griffith Park. We had Lovin's in Griffith Park. And I would help serve food. So at least I volunteered time. And when I started making money, I remembered that I'm so blessed by God to be able to make this money. I'm going to share it with people. And that's why the book is just shared. I mean, a success unshared is failure.
What an incredible woman.
Unbelievable.
Was she able to see some of your, I'm going to call it what we call success?
Yes, she was. She certainly was. In fact, and she died in her mid-90s, okay, a very happy woman. And prior to that, she was able to go to every event I did. We'd have seminars. Mom would be there. Everyone would love on her. We'd love on her. I was able to buy her another little house by the beach. So she could have a little house in Atwater, go to the beach for another little house, and able to send her anywhere she wanted to go.
That's wonderful.
Because Mom, and she even got on the back of my motorcycle at one of our events and let me drive her on it. She was a super cool mom.
I'm not going to ask you if you ever kind of ventured off from what she taught you in terms of, if you did though, I'm sure she would be behind you saying, hey, maybe tapping you on the shoulder. Oh, I love that.
yeah.
And what about your brother?
That was my brother, unfortunately, died at 29 years old on a motorcycle.
Oh,
He just
sorry.
extended out the front end, was going over Topanga Canyon here in Southern California.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, in those days, just got a crash. No headgear at all. It wasn't,
I'm
it's
sorry.
unfortunate. But he was able to at least know that in the future, I'm going to do something really cool. Because he always said that, Johnny, in the future, you're going to do something really cool, and you're going to help people. And I just know it. He always had that attitude.
What? That is so wonderful.
Well, that was Mom. Mom had a lot to do with it. And I say to mothers and fathers today, teach your kids, spend time with your children, by God, and give them a positive look at something, but spend time by doing it. And tell them the good things, not just all the bad things and how it's somebody else's fault. The way you speak and the way you think is going to really determine what your future is going to be. It's that powerful.
And she instilled that in you in such an early age.
Oh, yeah.
You did serve in the military, too. You
Yes,
served
I
our
did.
country. Thank you for your service.
Certainly. United
What
States
led
Navy.
you to do that?
Well, when I was in high school at John Marshall High School, and I'm a high school graduate, happy to say that, proud of that, I had some choices when I got out of high school. One, I didn't have the grades for a scholarship, nor do we have the money for me to go to college. So it was either find a job like my other friends did, or go to the United States Navy or one of our armed forces. I picked the Navy, but I did it in my senior year, because in Elysian Park in Southern California here, you could join the Navy if you were 17 years old and going into it right after high school. But they gave us $17 a month, which was cool money, and a uniform. And the girls really liked the guy in uniform, so I could wear my uniform to school. But when I went in, and it was just a couple of great years in the Navy. I'm a Vietnam vet. I was on an aircraft carrier, the Hornet, and I get to travel in the Navy to Hawaii, to Japan, to Hong Kong, the Philippines. I thought I was one of the luckiest kids in the world. The Navy was great for me.
Then I was going to say, and you came back well, and not only that, but you started some businesses. So how did you make that transition into the hair care world? Because that was the first one, right?
Yep. Well, when I got out of the Navy, I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I had a variety of jobs, from driving a tow truck to selling all kinds of equipment to working for various companies in the beauty industry.
Okay.
And then finally, it was the time, after my experiences in other companies, to start one of my own, and our backer pulled out. I had my friend Paul Mitchell of many, many years that was the hairdresser but didn't do business. I was the marketer and the business guys. We were a perfect match together because he was a real avant-garde hairdresser. People love to be taught by Paul Mitchell all these unique styles that he did. And he's the one that introduced to the United States, by the way, wash and wear hair, where you would walk into Bendel's salon, for example, in New York, and they would cut your hair in a certain way that you could just shampoo it afterwards, do one of these things, and it fell in place.
Because of the products, right?
Exactly. Then the products were, and that's how we started our business. And our backer pulled out, so we started with absolutely nothing. I left everything I was doing and lived in my car for a bit until I was able to manage.
Okay. Lived in your car.
Yes, ma'am.
If I'm not mistaken, I believe from some of the research, you had $700 that you saved up as an investment?
Quite. I had no money saved up to invest it in it because we had an investor coming in. But I left a few $100s in my pocket, and with my relationship that was in, I gave her enough money to last plenty of months, and I had a little daughter at the time to take care of her and the better car, and I went down the hill with the older car, but a nice one, okay? Went down the hill, it ran. You could start it up, it ran. Anyways, went down the hill, and the money never came in. And we were told the reason, and this is something for your audience to really know, why didn't the money come in 1980? Why did our backer pull out at the last minute? And how can you start a business like yours today? Very interesting. Inflation in the United States in 80 and 81 was 12.5%. Interest rates were 17%. Best interest rate you get was 17%. We waited in line for gasoline, and it was some real difficult times, and had no money. And the guy did not want to invest because of all that. Unemployment, 10.5%, interest rates unbelievably high, and I mean, it was just the wrong time and waiting in line for gasoline. But we did it anyway. So I went to Mama's house, and I was too embarrassed, Pat, too embarrassed to tell her, Mom, I'm down and out. I had lunch with her. I said, Mom, can I borrow $350? Because that's all Paul had to put in the business. And she said, Johnny, you do so good. Why do you need to borrow that? I didn't want to tell her the situation. I said, Mom, I'm starting a new company. I'll give it back to you at the end of the month. Oh, sure. Why don't we have lunch together? I ate everything on that plate, Pat, like you wouldn't believe.
Did you have filet mignon?
No, but whatever Mom had, I ate on that plate. And then when I just didn't want to tell her. She didn't find out I was down and out until some TV shows had shown it many years later. She was so upset that I was too proud to tell her. Could have my old room back. What a mom. She was like a sweetheart.
I was going to say, I'm sure she would have been with open arms anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
John Paul, before we continue, just how does that? I mean, I'm listening to you. I know you had a newspaper.
Yep,
I
sure
did.
did.
Too. My brother and I, we did too when we were kids.
Yep, sure did. LA Examiner, a morning paper at the day.
For some reason, it just does something, right? For your Bill's character and all that good stuff. But for you, just in terms of business, that acumen, and to be down like you were, to still, I'm going to start this hair care product. I'm going to go into that industry. It's performed wonderfully well.
But not in the first 2 years.
I'm sure it was difficult, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so what made you persevere? I mean, what besides Mama?
Yeah.
Is that something that she really instilled with you that I would imagine that still stays with you today? Because you're talking to me like we've known each other forever, and I really appreciate that. And that to me is a gift because everybody can't do that.
We're on the same wavelength, okay? What gave me that ambition to do it? I always knew in life, whether it was selling encyclopedias door to door, getting my newspaper route built more when I was 11 years old by getting an extra $1 by bringing somebody else on. We only made $30 a month as kids on our paper routes, but it was this. I knew, because I'd worked for companies in the industry, even though I was fired in the industry, I worked for companies. I knew what it took to actually get your hair ideal. So I had dear friends in the industry that helped me reformulate products, shampoos and conditioners that were different. And then in the 1980s, that's where it was, we invented sculpting lotion to give you the wet look and the dry look. But more important, with all the big hair, we're the inventors of freeze and shine hairspray.
You're right.
Yeah, where you could spray it on, your hair stays like that and it doesn't build up. So it's something totally different. But we had no money to promote it. So it was like when I sold encyclopedias, no leads, knocking door to door. We went to beauty salon to beauty salon to beauty salon to sell our product.
You know, this is what we call the ground game,
Yes,
like in politics, right? The grassroots, knocking door to door.
That is correct.
Learn so much from that.
Yeah.
Okay, now let's fast forward just a few years later. You decided to go into the tequila business, Patrón tequila.
That's right.
So how did that happen?
You know, I'll tell you how it happened and how it's a great example for people how to start a business they know absolutely nothing about, because we knew nothing about alcohol. I was building a home for my entire family for the future, like a vacation home in California in Malibu. And I was doing pretty good with Paul Mitchell at the time. And this one gentleman that I helped out, he went bankrupt in the hospitality business. We started a business of him going to Mexico, getting pavers for floors, furniture for restaurants, and for architects for the model homes. It was okay after a year, but it wasn't really making any money. So Martin was going down again, and we were shooting tequila before he went down. You know, where you lick the salt, you shoot it in your mouth, and then you do the lime afterwards. It was to kind of, that's the way you drank it in those days. There were no premium tequilas you could sip in those days. And the average bottle was about $5 a bottle, right? Ours was $37.95 retail. But we knew it would be the best of the best that we would come out with, even though nobody wanted it in the beginning. Nobody wanted Patrón in the beginning.
Oh, you're kidding.
Said, no, because Pat, they said, good lesson too for your people to learn, that it's the best we've ever had, but it's $37.95 a bottle. You're gonna price yourself out. We finally found somebody that was only selling wine to carry it. After a year, they were doing about 1,000 cases a year, which was little. So we jumped to Jim Beam. Good lesson for people to learn.
Yeah,
Jim Beam was a big one. So we had someone in between to sell it to, who sold it to the wholesalers, who sold it to everybody else, right? One more layer in there. After about a year and a half, they were doing about 12,000 cases a year. Now we met with them, and this is the biggest lesson for people to learn. And they said, guys, you got the best tequila. The reason you're only doing 20,000 cases a year is you've got the best tequila, but it's too expensive for people in the 1980s. It's $37.95 a bottle, and you'll never do more than 20,000 cases a year. We dropped them, went with Seagram's. Seagram's took them up to about 50,000 cases. We took over ourselves after that and went to the moon. When we sold Patrón, when I sold it 8 years ago for the company, that was, even though it was the best, was never supposed to do more than 20,000 cases a year. When I sold it, we were doing more like 3,500,000 cases of 12 a year. Broke every record I would imagine. What was the lesson to be learned? We liked the quality of the product so much that we knew if enough people drank it, they'd want to treat themselves and they'd want to, by gosh, drink it themselves. Took a few years to catch up, but then we just went to the moon. Over 200, I think, songs were written about Patrón.
Yes.
We never paid it. You know, a guy named 50 Cents walked around with a bottle of Patrón and diamonds around it. But the thing was, Pat, it was the best. And what I wanted to tell your audience and you is that as long as you know you have the very best, don't believe what everybody else told you. Even the experts are telling you that. We believed it in our hearts. And, you know, again, that's some of the things that I tell people about in the book. Another reason for writing the book. How in the world do you start these companies without a bunch of money and, in one case, no, not a darn thing about it?
I was going to say, we haven't talked about, I got this, economic degree from so-and-so university.
Yeah.
This is all learned.
All from a good high school graduate that's proud to be a high school graduate and member of the United States Navy. And
yes.
The American dream really, really works. And it still works today, Pat. Even easier, because remember when we started, there was competition everywhere. There was inflation going on, unemployment unimaginable, interest rates were, people find that hard to believe. The lowest interest rate was 17% in 2080 and 81. Yes, it was. If you could get a loan, we never could.
I was going to say, I mean, you've been through a lot. You've learned a lot. You've seen a lot. I can remember when unemployment was at 22%.
Yeah.
I'm from the Midwest originally, and that was in 1980. So for you to be able to stand on not just principle, but I've heard you say a lot about gut.
Believe in yourself. And the gut feeling was, it's so good. If I told enough people about it, eventually they're going to realize how good it was. And people say, I'll even ask me the question before you do, because I know it's going to come up. When did you know you made it with, when did you know with Paul Mitchell? Like, you know, this week to week, barely making it. When did you know you made it? And when we knew we made it was 2 years after we started Paul Mitchell. After 2 years, for the first time, we were able to pay our bills on time. Not pay them off, Pat, but pay them on time. Actually pay them on time. And have $2,000 left over each. We thought we made it now. By gosh, we made it.
You know something? There's something to be said about that, though, right?
Yes, ma'am.
When listening to people or people that are listening to you, we want to make sure that we have everything covered, it's done. But if you can get to a level first of just meeting, the time limits or the time constraints of paying off something, then you can go from there.
It's a big deal.
It's not a bad thing, is it?
No, ma'am. It's a big deal. Just paying them on time was a big deal because we were just week to week. You know, like sometimes saying the check's in the mail and it wasn't, and we'd feel bad, but then we'd have to deliver it 2 days later to them. But it's things that you learn. Human beings on this planet Earth have such talent that they don't even tap into. And I'd like to say this. There's two things I try and tell everybody of success in your personal life or in your business life. Number one is this: be ready for a lot of rejection. So when I sold encyclopedias, they said, a lot of you are not going to make it, and they didn't. The average lifespan with commission only, no salary, was 3.5 days. Okay,
wow.
I lasted 3.5 years. They said this: you're going to have rejection, but if you knock on 50 doors and they're closed in your face, whether it's politely or maybe not so polite, you must be just as enthusiastic on door number 51 as you were on door 1. For me, Pat, it was door number 100 and something.
Wow.
But I believed I was just as enthusiastic. So number one lesson is you're going to get rejection in life, in your personal life, your business life, but if you know you're going to get it and you're aware of that, it's not going to affect you as much. The second thing, make sure your service or your product, you don't go into the selling business. You go into the reorder business, where your service or your product is so good. Once they use it, they want to reorder
use it again.
And that's what you concentrate on. What's going forward, not just selling something else.
Do you believe in the long game?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And when I started, obviously, Patrón, we thought it would just take off, but it took a while. You know, it took a while till people all of a sudden decided, we want to teach, treat ourselves, my God. And when I sold Patrón almost 8 years ago, which was a wonderful day, Paul Mitchell I'll never sell. because that's the first baby. But Patrón, it was sold. It was a matter of, we did great. We know that the company that bought it could even take it further out, was our hope and everything else. But we knew that ahead of us was just so much. And we did very, very good with it. And when we sold it, we also learned, all of us, that you could start with nothing and learn about the business and build into something greater, and we never thought you would.
Wow.
And we're not done. In part 2, John Paul revisits his iconic Shark Tank stint.
I'm out. Everyone went out.
Yeah.
When it got to be the last guy to go out, I said to him, Johnny, I'm going to give you the exact amount of money you need and the exact percentage of the business you want to do for that. Whether it's overpaying, I don't care. You are a farmer, and America needs good little farmers like you.
The full story behind that unforgettable deal and what happened after. Coming up tomorrow on The Conversation with Pat Harvey.